The quote I'm going to read is from BKS Iyengar's Light on the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, and it's actually from the preface. And it is, the quote I'm going to read out has actually been repeated in slightly different formats in a number of his books. Anyway, I'll read it to start off with. Yoga is an art, a science, and a philosophy. It is a practical method for making one's life purposeful, useful, and noble. This quote in particular, as I've said before, gets repeated. I'm sure it comes in some format in Light on Yoga, Art of Yoga, Light on Pranayama. All of them have a very similar beginning to this. He sort of starts it off. He starts off a lot of his essays of what is yoga with yoga is an art, a science, and a philosophy. In this particular book, he adds on the whole part about meaning and purpose. And it's this, when I first read it, that really struck me. It struck me because in a way I had already read him saying or writing, yoga is an art. And the whole idea of an art is that it's kind of like big letters. It's capital A-R-T. Yoga is a science, and we know that especially in Iyengar yoga there's a lot of science to it. There's a lot of inquiry, there's a lot of study. It's quite scientific, it's quite technical. And yoga is a philosophy, and we know that actually yoga as a system for self-realization has thousands of years of philosophy behind it. These are big meanings, these are big descriptions of yoga, and for me a little bit remote. But when I read this one in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, that it gives purpose or it gives meaning to life, that drove home, because in a way I know what he's saying when he says it's an art, a science, a philosophy. He's reaching different kinds of human beings. He's reaching the human being who tends towards the artistic endeavours. He's reaching the human being who has a scientific bent. He's reaching the human being interested in philosophies. But when he says it gives meaning and purpose in life, he's reaching us all. And it was, I think, that particular meaning, that particular addition in the particular quote he often gives, is something which, for me personally, goes deeper. It has deeper significance than the other definitions of yoga. Because it's, I feel, for me personally, it's a truth or a truism. It's something which underpins what yoga does. It's something which underpins what yoga means for me. And it's because sometimes yoga seems like an art form, and then at other times yoga seems scientific, and at other times it has a philosophical aspect to it, but at all times it brings meaning and purpose. I think I recognized it for myself. I recognized that is what was nourishing my practice. That is what was, in those times when practice was difficult, that essence, that purposefulness, that meaning to life, that's the flow, that's a current, that's in yoga. That's the thing that keeps you connected and keeps you in touch. That's also the thing which in a way gives you stillness, gives you ability to relate outside of yourself, is because of that certainty behind, or that support within, that the yoga is giving meaning and purpose to your life. Perhaps with the word purposelessness, actually, or meaninglessness. In other words, the opposite of those things. I think before I came to yoga, the unimportant things were too important in my life. And in actual fact, those things lost their meaning. Those things lost their importance. Trivial things, some emotional things just became less important. they held less weight for me. I became lighter. I became lighter because of the far deeper meaning and purpose that yoga was giving for me.